Alright, so here are going to be the solutions to this latest quiz. Now, I told you that you were going to get 2 attempts on this, and then I realized after I said that I had made it so that you'd automatically see the answers after your first attempt. So if you notice that and you got it right the second time, good for you. I'm going to try not to do that from now on. At any rate, let's see what the answers are. Now, this particular one is very, very similar to one we did in class. We're just going to take it a little bit further. So let's just go through the algorithm first. So we start out by declaring I to be equal to 1, and then we start running a loop. And as long as I is less than 100, then we're going to reassign I to be 2 times 1, and then we're just going to spit out I. So what happens when we do this? Well, we start out at the beginning. Oops, let me change that color. We start out with I equal to 1, and we check, yes, 1 is certainly less than 100, so we're going to reassign I to be 2 times 1, and we get 2. So now down here, I is going to be 2. We check that 2 is less than 100, so we reassign I to be 2 times 2, which is 4. So now I is 4. 4, yep, less than 100. So I is going to be reassigned to be 2 times 4, and you get 16. So I is 16. 16 is less than 100. So now reassign I to be 32. And we just kind of continue in that same vein. So what's ultimately going to happen is, so I'm going to quit writing, I'm going to stop writing all of this out and just look and see how I changes. So we go from I equals 32, then I is going to be 2 times 32, and we'll get 64. So I is equal to 64. Then I is going to be reassigned to be 2 times 64, which is 128. Now if we try to check what's going on in the loop, something different happens. Now, if we try to check that I, which is equal to 128, is less than 100, well, that's no longer true. So we're going to exit the loop. Okay, we exit the loop, and we're still at I equals 128. So if it returns I, then the algorithm is just going to return 128. So 128 is the answer to this one. Alright, this one is even more straightforward. We're just starting out with list, which is declared to be just an empty list. Now normally we would think of this as a set, and maybe you want to use curly braces instead of these brackets here. But remember, we reserve curly braces for comments, like we have this comment here. So I'm just going to use brackets to indicate an empty list. And this for loop right here, it just goes through the numbers, the integers 1 to 10, and it checks if n is even, that I'm going to add that n to what I've called list. And then at the end it spits out list. So, I mean, all the possible values for n, if n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 4, n is equal to 5, n is equal to 6, n is equal to 7, n is equal to 8, n is equal to 9, n is equal to 10. So for each one of these, this if-then this if statement is checked. And the only time it counts is if n is actually even. So, and if n is even, then it gets added to list. So let's see. That's odd, it doesn't get added. That one gets added, doesn't get it added, gets added. Not, yes, not, yes, not, yes. So, if the ones that are circled gets added to list, then at the end of everything, list is just going to consist of those even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So that's just a long-winded way to say it just checks if they're even. If it is, it puts them in the list. So this is what the answer needed to be. Now I set it up so the Google form quiz would accept writing, just the numbers separated by parentheses. It would accept if you use curly braces or if you use brackets. So any of those three things should have been counted as a right answer. All right, I think that's it. I'll see you in class.